Good morning. I'm sure that you've noticed that the weather is somewhat erratic at the moment. We have droughts everywhere causing disastrous forest fires. And then on the other hand, we have torrential rain bringing fatal floods. People have lost everything. They've lost their homes, they've lost all their belongings, they've lost their livelihoods, which means they don't have any food. They've lost everything. So what's causing this?
As you can see from this very rough chart, carbon dioxide levels have shot up. They were about 275 parts per million in the late 1700s, and there wasn't much change until the 20th century, when in the 1980s we began to realize there was a problem. Today, the levels are at a staggering 420 parts per million and rising. The last time levels were this high was about 2 to 3 million years ago, and it was thought that temperatures then were about 4 to 6 degrees above what we consider normal. There were trees growing in Antarctica, all right, scrubby ones and affected by wind, and tropical life in Greenland and so on, but life was extremely difficult. So, since carbon dioxide levels are similar today, why aren't global temperatures higher?
When I first light this fire, it doesn't immediately heat the room. First of all, it has to heat the stove, and this particular stove heats a tank of water, so it's 2 hours before it starts to heat the room.
The oceans contain a lot more water than my tank, so it's taking longer to warm up, but they are warming and melting ice in the process. It takes a lot of heat energy to melt ice, which is where a lot of our heat is going at present. Once the ice is melted, global temperatures will rise exponentially, disastrously so. Scientists have predicted this, of course, but things are happening much faster than the models predict. For example, the permafrost in Canada is melting at a rate which is 70 years ahead of scientists' predictions.
So what's the answer to this? Well, we could reduce carbon dioxide emissions. In 2014, the emissions of this gas were levelling off, and it gave us a little bit of hope. But in 2017, they went up again, and again in 2018, and even today, emissions are rising, not going down. Mankind is not going to reduce carbon dioxide emissions.
We could and should plant trees, but forests are being cut down at an alarming rate, and others are being burnt down quickly in forest fires. We can't plant enough trees to keep up with the destruction.
So the situation looks fairly grim, and as Jesus said in Luke 21 and verse 25, he said that on earth nations in agony, bewildered by the clamour of the ocean and its waves, men dying of fear as they await what menaces the world, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken. So as Christians then, do we also have this gloomy outlook? No, Jesus said, when these things begin to take place, stand erect, hold your heads high, because your liberation is near at hand, as salvation is very close. As it says in Revelation, God is going to destroy those destroying the earth. Now, a quick word on the generation. As we know, Jesus said that the generation that saw the signs would also see the end, and his words must come true. But let's see exactly what he said. In Matthew 24 and verses 7 and 8, he talked of world wars, but he said, all this is only the beginning of troubles. And then we go on to verse 32, where he said, when you see all these things, know that he is near at the very gates. We have to see all these things, not only world wars, but global warming and the disastrous consequences that has given mankind a great deal of fear. So we didn't really see all these things, I suppose, until the 80s and maybe even today. Today it has become very clear that this poor planet is facing a very tough time because of what we have done. But we have wonderful hope that God will put things right despite what we are trying to do. We can look forward to wonderful salvation. Thank you for watching this morning, and God bless you all.